Hello, everyone, and welcome to Evolve Yourself TV. I am Agni James, and today we will be doing another guided meditation. I'll be leading you through a guided meditation because that's what I do here. That's my point. That's my purpose. That's my modus operandi in life, I guess you could say. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope everyone is feeling love and bliss in their lives and is feeling nothing but the most perfect joy in the world. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for everyone. I want us to be able to bypass all the ego and ego dynamics that exist in the world and just focus in on the pure love that exists within each one of us and within everyone else, right? I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it all comes down to what you identify with. If you choose to identify with the ego, you're going to be caught up in ego dynamics. You're going to get caught up in all sorts of ego games, passive aggressive nonsense, physical assaults, verbal confrontations, right? You're going to be losing your cool all the time. You're going to be getting freaked out, when you're talking to your boss. You're going to get angry when you something unjustified happens to you, right? There's all sorts of things in life that happen, and if we meditate and if we spend more time, improve cultivating a sense of mental and emotional peace, then yeah, we're gonna feel better, and we're gonna be able to have happier, healthier, more productive lives, and that's what I want for all of you. Hey, look who's here! Kittens Kung Fu. Wow, how are you, brother? You said I wish you could stay, but you're on your way back to work to train a couple more clients. Hope you have a fantastic stream. All the best, dude. All the best to you, my. I said all the best to you. I'm gonna say all the best to you, my Chicagoland brother, my Chi-Town brother. Good to see you, dude. Anyone who doesn't know Kittens Kung Fu, this guy's from Chicago like me. He's a good, really awesome dude. First of all, he's authentic, he's genuine, and he's excellent with martial arts. Yeah, total Freudian slip, man. Total Freudian slip. I should have an emote to document this or something like that, or just clip it or something, right? Yeah, he's a great streamer in the fitness and health community. He knows qigong like no one else. He's like really into it. I mean, when he's doing the energy movements, you can like see the energy. You can basically see like the energy that he's cultivating. It's incredible. He knows the internal energy arts. He knows martial arts. He's an awesome teacher. Wonderful dude. Really welcoming. So definitely go to his streams. Check him out. Drop him a follow. Yeah. So I just hope that we're all doing better and we're all feeling good. I mean, I can tell you, I had a really rough day today. One of the things we discuss here in Evolve Yourself TV is mental health issues, and I was having crazy depression earlier today. Hey, Swiss, what is up, my brother? How are you doing? Dude, you are Twitch, man. I see you everywhere. I don't know how you can be omnipresent like this. I mean, even if you are Twitch, it's like still too much, man. I'm like seeing you everywhere, dude. This guy, anyone who doesn't know Swiss doesn't sleep. Swiss just doesn't. He refuses to go to motherfucking sleep. He doesn't even go to sleep. He's just like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna go dance for like 6 hours. Then I'm gonna like go on some streams and do some intense meditation and yoga, and then I'm gonna like go out and stream like these beautiful, picturesque scenes in the mornings, right when the sun's rising, and just he's like, maybe I'll get like 12 minutes of sleep like sometime in between. It's incredible. This guy's a machine. I don't know what's going on with him. You somehow figured out a way to and I guess if you are Twitch incarnate, right, then it's like, I get it, right? You're the embodiment of Twitch, man. You're just like, you don't need that kind of sleep that the rest of us like mortals need, right? You can just go out and dance all night and stream in the morning, man. It's pretty cool, dude. Yeah, we're talking. Let me give you a shout out on your main account. I always give you the shout out on the fitness yoga one today. Let's see. Swiss R. Bam. There we go. All right. So definitely check out Swiss's streams. Drop him a follow. He's a super nice, authentic dude, and he's a lot of fun, and he brings people together. I call him the ambassador of Twitch. He's just like such an awesome person, such an awesome human being. JT Farms, hello. How are you? Our channel shaman has just arrived. Those of you who don't know Joy, JT Farms, she is an incredible human being. She is an excellent poet, and she actually has done some collabs with me in poetry in the past. And I've learned a lot about poetry and about life from her. She's a wonderful human being. And she, as a channel shaman, her job responsibilities include maintaining good positive energy in the chat, and just in the channel as well. And she, gets rid of all the negative energy, brings in all the good energy, and just keeps things flowing. She's just this wonderful, shamanic sage that just has a lot to offer, and it's just always a pleasure when I see you in this chat. You're here all the time, You're here all the time. You come through, you get something out of these meditations, and that's why I'm here. My whole purpose is for you. My whole purpose is for everyone in this chat, is for everyone who comes by and wants to improve themselves in some way, someone who wants to evolve themselves, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? We don't want to stay stuck in the same patterns of self-destructive behavior and things like that. We want to push forward, right? Because typically the way life works, part of the human condition that was discussed with the French existentialists starting in the early 50s and whatnot, is basically the cycles of things, the cyclical nature of things. And it was way before the French existentialists. They just kind of dwelled on it a little bit more, right? But Sartre, and Camus, and they would discuss basically, we need to push through. We need to move in the world. What direction are we headed? Where are we going? How are we moving in the world? Or are we just not moving in the world? Are we just, sticking around? Are we staying stuck? Is there something we need to learn to grow from? Where do we find meaning in the world? Where do we find purpose in the world, right? I mean, for Camus, the big question was whether or not one should kill oneself, right? That was like the big question. And it's like, wow, can you even say that, Agni? Are you even allowed to say that? Yeah, because we talk about everything here, right? We talk about everything. I'm all about radical, open, and honest communication. I believe it's super important. As long as you're not, just going out on a verbal, assault on someone or whatnot. But open, honest communication. I said this. I came up with this quote 7 years ago, and it still holds true. We talk about everything except what is closest to our hearts. And I'll repeat that. We talk about everything except what is closest to our hearts. All right, and that's just the case. That's just the case. So in life, we need to be more expressive. We need to be more emotive. We need to talk about the things that are the deepest, the most deep-seated insecurities and fears and worries, and bring those out to fruition by expressing them and communicating them with those around us. And a lot of people are resistant to that idea. You know why they're resistant? They're resistant to that idea because A, it puts us in a very vulnerable state. And we don't like being in a vulnerable state. We like feeling strong and in control and in charge. Are we ever really in control? Right? Are we ever really in control of anything in the big picture, right? You could get, a bolt of lightning could come and knock you down any moment and you had no control over it, right? You can't do anything. You can't keep yourself from danger in this dualistic framework, right? Within this realm, within the realm of the external world of where we, the phenomenal world that's how Kant would describe it, right? It's just the world of sensory experience, right? So basically we have 5 senses. We take in data. We can only process a little bit of that data, and then we extrapolate and we form our perception of reality, right? That's just how life is within this dualistic framework. And in this dualistic framework, we just all sorts of things can happen now. We can feel garbagey. We can feel good sometimes. But all right, I'm sorry, I'm missing chat. Let's get back to this. Oh, hey, One Sluggy, you're here. How's it going? I hope you're having a decent day today. I hope things are going better, and I hope you're having a good time today. Yeah, I was talking earlier about how I was having a really rough day today earlier, because I went and visited a friend who I hadn't seen in about 7 or 8 years. Oh, you're doing great. Awesome. So good to hear, One Sluggy. So good to hear. Earlier I was not doing good at all. I was feeling like complete garbage. I mean, literally, just pick me up, take me to a dumpster, throw me in the dumpster, slam it, and then just take me off to the junkyard. Like that's what I felt. That's where I was. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I visited a friend I hadn't seen in many years, and she had a stroke. What happened initially is she had a stroke, and then they went in and they found a fucking big ass brain tumor in her head, And so they had to do like emergency, surgery and remove this fucking brain tumor from her head. And then when they did that, they literally fucking paralyzed half her body. And she's like young. It's like, can you imagine that? The rest of her whole fucking life, she's got to live. She's got to live, now like under constant like, help and supervision and whatnot because she can't move half her body. Like, dude, the unfairness of the universe. Like when I heard that, I was, it devastated me back in the day. And so this was the first time. And she's lived far away from me, so I haven't been able to see her. This was the first time I actually was able to go see her. It was yesterday, right? And I went and I saw her, and it was traumatic as fuck. To just see someone who's young and just healthy, should be healthy and should be like living, a good life. She was always, the most funny, wonderful person I've ever met. She literally is one of those people that devoted her life to helping others. She literally was a counselor. She devoted her life to trying to make a difference in this world. And she wasn't even a for-profit counselor. She was doing it just to help people. She had all the certifications and everything, but she was just trying to help people in the world, right? And now she's just fucking paralyzed, and nothing. She couldn't do it. She couldn't do anything about it. How unfair is that kind of shit, right? So, anyways, this morning it hit me. Like when I saw her yesterday, I was trying to stay positive. I was trying to keep things, really, good and in good spirits because that's important for her. I wanted to try to, show her love and whatnot. But now, I mean, today when I woke up this morning, I was taken aback. I was just sitting there thinking about her, thinking how this once like super physically strong, healthy individual that I care deeply about, all of a sudden is just fucking laying in a bed the rest of her life. It's like, man, so that hit me hard this morning. So then I was just going through my routine in the morning, just working out, and just it's so interesting, like how the mind can just, my mind really wanted just to pull me back into bed. It wanted to just pull me away from what I was doing. I was working out. I was doing stuff with the stock market. I was doing some day and swing trading, and it's like I just wanted to just fucking disappear from the day, with that, because of the that experience yesterday. But I just fucking kept pushing through. And I was like, you know what? Okay, crazy things are going to happen within this dualistic framework. People are going to get hit by lightning. I mean, I live in Chicago. I don't know how many of you know this. Chicago is the highest murder rate in the entire United States of America. It's pretty crazy. Like people are getting shot all the time in my city, man. Like I'm watching stories. I'm seeing people getting shot all over the place. It's crazy. Like little kids too. Little kids are just trying to walk down the street and they're getting shot. It's a crazy place we live in. This dualistic framework, but. There's only one thing that can really keep us sane about the situation, and that is if we have a foundational belief system that can reconcile all the seeming unfairness and unjustness in the world, right? And so my foundational belief system, and the one I've shared with you with the chat plenty of times before, is basically that, hey, you know what? Since we have such a tiny subset of data of all that exists, right? We're in finite form. We're in these bodies, right? So, we can't, and we have only 5 senses. That's our only way to take information in, right? So we have our 5 senses, and we have the instruments that we built through those 5 senses, like telescopes, microscopes, right? So we can see things really far away. We can see things really close, right? We can, measure X-rays and gamma rays and all these other things, right? We can, do all this other stuff. We develop math. We develop these tools, but they're all, all our sensory equipment to, understand the universe and the cosmos is still based off of our 5 senses, right? There could be, we're not getting the full picture. We're not getting anywhere near the amount of information, data required to actually, process and then form an actual accurate representation of reality. We're not able to see, as Kant would say, we're not able to actually see things in and of themselves. We're not, so basically, if human beings didn't exist, what would the world look like, right? We're only seeing a representation of the universe, of reality. Science is amazing because it enables us to work within that representation and do all sorts of cool things. We can build bridges, we can cure diseases, we can do all these things that have great utility, but it's never going to lead us closer to truth because the amount of data that we actually possess is so tiny that, and their processing power is so limited that, It seems like a farce. It seems like an absurd notion to hold that we could ever find the absolute truth about the fundamental nature of reality through the scientific paradigm, right? Now, maybe I'm wrong, right? I mean, when I said never, and maybe I shouldn't say never. I'll lessen that a little bit, and I'll say most likely we'll never be able to find truth through the scientific paradigm. But we can do a lot of cool things with it, right? So that's why we use it, right? And that's the same thing with evolution, right? Evolution, there's this weird misconception out there that evolution is supposed to lead us closer to truth. But that's fucking bullshit. It's not leading us closer to truth. All it's doing is maximizing survival value, right? Survival value and passing on those genes to your offspring. It's not leading us any closer to truth. If we want truth, if we want foundational, fundamental truth, my view is that we don't need to look external. That's the wrong place to look. Whenever we're going out into the world to try to find truth, to try to find happiness, to try to find whatever, we're looking in the wrong place, right? Let's slow it down for a minute, because I know things are getting a little intense, a little heated right here, right? Yeah, Joey, you say, oh no, about my friend. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? She's just paralyzed the rest of her fucking life. She's gonna be paralyzed now. Why? Because she had a fucking brain tumor. How is that fair, right? So here's how I justify it, and this is the way that I can at least basically sleep at night. And not just that, all the little kids that are just like walking down the street and getting shot, and all the the Holocaust, right? All the horrific things that have happened, throughout the history of humanity, right? I justify it as basically saying we don't have enough data to see the total big picture, right? And that the true state that actually exists is in monism. And those of you who don't know what monism is the opposite of dualism. Dualism is basically, having two things, right? Or pluralism, right? Having many things, right? Monism is just that there's only one substance. There's only one thing that exists, right? So I hold that there is only that one substance. There's only one thing that exists, and one thing that has ever existed, right? And that this whole dualistic framework in which we live and operate is simply a perceptual error. So it's basically the idea of, like, let's say we're going through life, we're seeing everything perfectly clearly. It's like, you just are going through life. That's just how it is, right? And then all of a sudden, you're wearing glasses, you're wearing goggles, and they get foggy, and you're seeing things in a distorted way, right? That's what I believe this dualistic framework is. It's just a distorted perception of actual events, of actual reality, right? We're seeing things limited through our five senses. We're not seeing things as they actually are in and of themselves. All right, so that's an interesting thing to think about. So what does that mean? What are the repercussions if we're not actually seeing things as they actually are in and of themselves, right? What are the actual, the actual results of that, of not seeing correctly, right? Well, whenever an event happens, right? Let's say, event X happens in the world, right? We're going to have a certain interpretation of that event, right? And that interpretation is going to be based on a finite amount of a very small subset amount of data. It's a very tiny amount of data that we can use to then process and then extrapolate and try to form a judgment or an evaluation of that X that occurs in the world. And when we do that, we're not, it's like how can we ever hope? It's a hopeless situation to ever think that we can actually fully understand what that event X is, or even if there is an event, right? We don't even know if there is an event. Our amount of data, the amount of data that we possess about the universe is so infinitesimally small that it's like for us to make any conclusions or judgments of any kind is just fucking ludicrous if you really think about it. But here's the deal. Why do we do it? Because it sucks to be hungry. It sucks to feel bad, right? Imbalanced is here. What is up, my brother? How are you doing? So good to have you here. Those of you who don't know Imbalanced, let's give him a big shout out. He's an awesome dude. He is a streamer here in the fitness and health community, and I don't know why the shout out didn't work. I'll just do it manually. Oh, it did work. It was just slow. It did fucking work. sometimes you got to be a little more patient in life, right? Sometimes you got to be patient, right? Imbalance is just a super genuine, authentic dude, and he streams here, and sometimes he wears a shirt, and that's his deal, right? That's how it goes with Imbalance Physique, man. He's just a nice dude, and he sometimes wears a shirt. But no, in all seriousness, the reason why I love this dude so much is because he's truthful and he talks about deep issues that typically are not discussed that much, like mental health, right? And mental illness, right? There's this negative stigma or negative connotation that's associated with it, right? That's been there for a while, and we're slowly weeding it out, but we need to discuss these mental health issues more in order to deal with it. So Imbalanced, we are talking right now about how human beings in our finite state possess such a tiny amount of data about the actual wholeness of reality, that it's amazing that we actually can draw any conclusions of any kind of any events that occur in the world or any states of affairs, right? So basically we don't have the processing power or the enough data to be able to actually know the true evaluations of these things, or even whether there is such a thing as an evaluation of these things. That whole question could misfire from the start. That's another pretty cool thing to remember, right? Sometimes like the question just doesn't even, it's meaningless once you have more data, once you have more understanding of what's actually going on. So let's bring it all back around full circle. We are talking about unfair events, right? Things that seem like totally unjust, like a little kid walking down the street getting shot, or like I was talking about my friend yesterday who I visited in the hospital, who's going to be in a bed the rest of her life because she just developed a tumor in her brain. They had to remove the tumor, and then she was left half paralyzed. The whole left side of her body is paralyzed. She can't even move, right? So it's like crazy, right? It's like when I see these seemingly unfair events happen, I get filled with rage. I just get like so angry at how unfair things are. But I deal with that and I think about it and then I process it, and because of my foundational belief system, I'm able to say, okay, we don't have enough data to make the correct evaluations of what's actually occurring in the world. We don't know the reasons why things seem to be occurring, or whether these things are actually occurring. And if I am correct in my premise that this whole dualistic framework is actually illusory to begin with, it doesn't exist from the bigger context of eternity, which should be the case if you really think about it. I don't know how many people actually sit around thinking about this, but this is kind of like the stuff that I devote my life to, right? The search for truth, right? The pursuit of truth, right? I first started out in the sciences trying to pursue truth. And then I realized that was going to lead to foundational errors, and you couldn't actually find objective, capital T, truth through the sciences. You could find truth about things in the external world and within the dualistic framework, right, with things that we can experience with our senses, but you're never going to come to know the fundamental nature of reality, the most foundational level, through science, because it's just a backwards process. So then I went into philosophy, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go into philosophy. I'm going to go to get my master's and study and go to grad school for philosophy, and I'm going to learn about all this stuff in philosophy because that's where truth lies, right? And I went and I did that, and I did that approach. But and you learn a lot, and you sharpen your toolkit, and you're able to cut through all these bad arguments, and it was a great experience. I learned a tremendous amount. But at the end of the day, philosophers are like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck truth is. And then I've done the spiritual realm for a long time. And I have yielded the greatest results from just doing the spiritual realm, and I haven't subscribed to any one religion. And I don't recommend that anyone just goes out and just subscribes to what their parents tell them to believe, right? Just because their mom tells them to believe it when they're 5 years old. That's not the right way to do it, as far as my perception goes. I think you need to live your life and experience life, and then see what works with you, what has utility, but then also see what has the most truth to you, right? Because that's important. It's all about the capital T truth at the end of the day, right? So I've taken a bunch of different things that I've learned through studying the various religions and philosophies on the market, and but mostly I've taken my own inner experiences, right, that I've had from meditation and whatnot, when I've delved within to the source of love, to the source of creation that exists within me, and I've created my own metaphysics. Basically, I've created my own metaphysics. And I've done so in order to try to make some sense out of this world, right? And that's what people do, right? And it's not just me. I mean, basically everyone does it. I don't think most people do it in such a analytical fashion, as maybe I did it, but that's because I'm literally an analytic philosopher. That's what I was trained in, right? So yeah, that's kind of how I did it, and so basically my foundational belief holds that. So we only have what is one, right? That we only have oneness, right? We have just the state of one. Like that's like a premise of mine, right? And that anything that is not one, anything that has seemingly distinct parts or is separate from that oneness, isn't real. It's not even here. It's like the equivalent of a light. It's not light and darkness. It's light and then the absence of light. And that's a big distinction. And it's very subtle, but it's big, right? Because if you have light and darkness, you imply polarity. You imply opposites. You imply dualism, right? Because you can't have light without light and darkness unless you're in a dualistic state, right? That's all you can have, right? But the monist state says you have light. And then that's it. That's all that you have. You just have light, and there never ever was anything else, right? But then people think, well, wait a minute. We live in this dualistic framework. We live in this world in which we go out and we go to work. We have kids. We get married. We have a dog or two. We have maybe a couple cats that are running around that pee all over our carpet, right? We have all sorts of stuff, right? Yeah, and by the way, someone did have an issue with that recently with my cat. My cat's name is Parmenides, named Purr-Menides, named after my favorite philosopher, Parmenides, P-A-R. And yeah, every once in a while, when I don't give her enough attention, she decides it's just perfectly cool to piss on my carpet, and that kind of gets to me every now and then. But and cat urine's like a mess, right? It's like anyone who's had to deal with cat urine, you know what I'm talking about. It fucking stinks, man. It's like, dude, any other odor, any other scent in the world is gonna smell better than that ammonia from that cat urine, man. Oh my god, I don't want to be anywhere near that. So then you got to buy cleaning products and go crazy, scrubbing that out and steam clean the carpet and all that. Okay, but anyways. All right, I'm talking a lot. I hope everything's going well in chat. What do we got going on here? Swiss R, you say, hope you're getting an official Twitch partner soon. Would vote, yeah, dude, that would be incredible, man. That would be incredible to get a Twitch to be a Twitch partner. By the way, I think a lot of viewers don't even know about the different levels of the Twitch system. Maybe that would be kind of interesting to talk about real briefly. So basically, you start out streaming on Twitch, right, and then if you meet certain criteria, then you become what's called a Twitch affiliate. And that Twitch affiliate, I think it's something like you have to have 3 average viewers for a month. You have to have a certain amount of follows, maybe 100 or something. And then you have to have a certain amount of, I think 20 hours streamed or something, or 10 hours streamed over the course of a month, right? And then you're a Twitch affiliate. And then the next level up is Twitch partner. Right, and then when you're a Twitch partner, you have to average something like 75 average viewers at a given time. That's crazy, right? I mean, how many fitness and health streamers do you go to and they have 75 average viewers? Swiss, that doesn't happen very often, and not just fitness and health. I mean, there's a lot of stream. 99% of streamers probably don't have 75 viewers, right? If I could take a guess, I would say that would be probably accurate. But okay, whatever. Let me get back to the main picture. Let's wrap it right around and talk to the main thing, right? The main foundational point, the salient point that I am trying to espouse to this audience, to this wonderful chat here, and I feel all your love and light, and thank you so much. So basically, yeah, if there's only monism and all this dualistic ego stuff is just nonsense to begin with, then does this really matter? If it's just going to collapse at the end of the day, if it's just going to collapse, if space-time is just going to collapse back into the monist state, and from the context of eternity, it already has, right? Because if you think about what the nature of what eternity is, you can't have time in eternity, right? That doesn't make sense. Eternity is one moment that exists forever. Hey, look who just popped in! Last night's ghost, an awesome streamer on Twitch. I absolutely love this girl. She's incredible. Check out her streams. She plays all sorts of crazy, awesome games in her streams. And you know what? I'm gonna have to get in on that one of these days. I always go to your stream and I just like hang out, you know. And then everyone's playing the games, and I'm always like, dude, why the fuck am I the only one here not playing, you know? And I'm just kind of chilling in chat, making a witty comment every now and then, or just being nice, you know. But like, yeah, definitely check her out. Give her a follow. She's a super awesome person. And yeah, just a really friendly, nice human being, you know. And I like the fact that you have a little bit of what's a good word to describe it, you know, like you're there's like the perfect word I'm looking for. There's a perfect word I'm looking for. It's not coming to my mind. It will at some point, and I'm gonna bring it back. But there's like the best way to describe you. I just can't, it's not coming up right now. What's cooking? Good looking Agnes. I like that. Yeah, why the fuck not? You know, I only play games that everyone can access. Sauce, juice, essence, juju. No, that's not it. It's not it. It's like it's kind of like friskiness. Like friskiness, right? You have a certain level of like friskiness. I think that's a good way to describe you. You're a little bit frisky, which is awesome because it makes the stream so much more playful and enjoyable, right? You know, it's like I don't know. That's like a weird word. I don't use that word very often. I buy Frisky's cat food for my cat, and I think that's even the only reason I even thought about that. I don't think I've used the word frisky in like, you know, like I don't know, 15 years. Holy shit. You know, just except when I'm buying cat food. But yeah, that word describes you and your streams, and it makes it fun, right? Thank you, Frisky. Almost sounds like a dangerous work to my hubby. LOL. It will be our secret. Yeah, don't worry. I'm not talking to him. I'm not saying anything. My lips are sealed. We were talking about mental health issues. We were talking about like we were on a very somber tone. Even though I was talking like a million miles an hour. And sometimes people probably can't get like, oh my God, this guy's like actually struggling. He's going through something hard because he's like, you know, talking, you know, they might not understand that because I've come out here high intensity, you know, like ready to like emote and like, you know, express whatever is going on within me to the world, right? But like, yeah, I've been having a really rough day because yesterday I visited one of my, a friend that I hadn't seen in like 7 or 8 years, and you know, she had a brain tumor, and they literally removed the tumor from her brain, and now she's paralyzed the rest of her life. Like, how fucking nuts is that? So I woke up this morning just thinking about that, like thinking that she's never gonna get out of bed again. It's like, dude, fuck that, you know. So I was trying to make sense of this in my mind, and basically the way I make sense of it, my metaphysics is such that, you know, the dualistic framework that exists, you know, will eventually collapse into monism, right? And then the monistic state of reality is actually the objectively true way of perceiving reality. But we're currently seeing things through a dualistic lens. And so because of that, it enables me to you know, like sleep at night, basically, to get through with the day. And I have all the philosophies and religions and spiritualities and, you know, ideologies that I've studied in my life. It makes the most sense to me. It makes the most sense because I'd love to hear anyone make sense of like the actual, you know, phenomenal world, like in a way that actually can relate to like tie into the foundational nature of reality, right? You can't do it, right? Because it's just all over the place. Basically dualism is just senseless. The ego mind is senseless. The ego mind wants to keep us separated from one another, right? It wants to keep us divided because the whole notion of ego is dualism. It's two, right? It's not a state of oneness that is pure love, right? The second you have a state of oneness, the dualism collapses and you go back into that state of perfect bliss, right? Like we do when we get to the meditation part of this stream, right? You know, then we'll just slow the energy down. And we'll come to a calm, perfect place of oneness. But that's what we do during the meditation part of the stream, right? This is prior to the meditation. Prior to the meditation, my role is to get everyone engaged and ready to go and like excited and to bring up, you know, polemical shit, right? Because sometimes that's good. Sometimes we need to discuss, you know, the most, you know, things that are very significant to our heart, right? Last night's ghost. I came up with this quote 7 years ago, and I think it still rings true. And I said it earlier. We talk about everything accept what's closest to our heart, right? Because we don't like putting that out there. We don't like putting out what's closest to our heart out there, right? Our fears, our deep-seated fears and vulnerabilities, right? Because that's scary, right? We can be afraid that someone could use that against us, right? People don't typically talk about that stuff, but I'm all about radical, open, and honest communication, and I think that's precisely what needs to be addressed. That's precisely what needs to be discussed. Because, like, if you tell someone exactly what's going on in your heart and they tell you exactly what's going on in their heart, you're going to be able to at least have that level of mutual respect and understanding such that you can work with the person, right? Because you're being open and honest. There's a reciprocal exchange of love between you and that person, and at least truth in your dialogue and the way you communicate, right? If you're going to hide something, if you're going to keep something hidden within you and like not share that with the person, then that thing that's hidden is going to manifest in other ways in your relationship with that other person, and you might act in like a way that's not authentically you, because it's that other thing basically being manifested in a different way. And once that happens, all communication breaks down, and shit gets ugly, right? Because then you get caught up in ego dynamics, right? And then the person's like, well, what's really going on, and why won't this person tell me? And it gets crazy right there. All right, last night's ghost. You say guarded, yeah, right. It's so scary. It's so scary to express how one truly feels, right? Thank you so much, last night's ghost. Thank you so much. That's super kind of you. Super kind of you. Yeah, much appreciated, right? But yeah, that's if you express who you are, though, it's like it's basically on them, and then they can take it and do what they want with it, right? But if you do that, I'm gonna say that almost every time. I mean, assuming you associate with like somewhat decent people, right? If you're associating with like people who are just like complete monsters, right? Then yeah, it might be a little ugly, right? But if you're like associating with like just like normal human beings, they're gonna respect the fact that you shared with them that pure love and that honesty and that joy, and they're gonna reciprocate, and then you're gonna be able to repair the relationship, whatever issues that arise in the relationship, because open, honest communication does exist between you and the other. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. All right. Feel free to call you Ghost or Last Night. Yeah, I always say your whole name, and it's long, but yeah, okay. I want to call you. I think I'll call you Ghost. Ghost is pretty cool. Ghost is a good one. Yeah, I like that. Just yeah. So you say what's that? Shame and judgment. It's not the content of what's by your heart. It's the shame and judgment we dislike. Absolutely. So here's another interesting thing, right? And this is something that I've worked on a lot over the years. Like, I used to be very controlled by what others thought. Like, there was a time in my life where I was like, oh no, this person's gonna think badly of me if I act in this way, or this other person's gonna think I'm like this if I act this way, right? Now I say fuck it. It's like, I don't give a fuck about the opinions of other people. The people who are like really close to me and are like are like my closest friends and family members. It's like, if their opinions are not ridiculous, then yeah, I'll have like some level of concern, right? And I'm willing to modify my behaviors, to a certain extent, to like not like commit social faux pas all over the place, right? Even though I do still, half the time. But for the most part, I don't give a fuck what people think. There's it's like if you walk around your life thinking like, oh no, what's this person going to think of me? What's that person going to think of me? If I do this, what's this person going to think of me? You become a slave to the external world. You become a slave to this dualistic framework. You become a prisoner, because then your actions and the way you think and the way you act are inextricably bound to all those other people and their supposed judgments. And the craziest thing is, you never even know if they are going to judge you in that particular fashion. A lot of times, it's your own perception of that doesn't even have enough data about them to even know that they're going to even judge you in that way. And they might be thinking something totally different. They might think, oh, you're brave for acting like that, when you think that they think you're cowardly for acting like that. It's like we never know for certain, right? We don't have a gauge. We can't read the person's mind exactly, right? I mean, if it's someone super close to us, obviously we have a better chance. We can increase the probability that we might be able to know what they're talking about. But for the most part, like, we have no concept, right? So it's like, if we're living our life in a state of worry and fear and anxiety about what others think, then we're just basically taking all of our internal power, which is limitless. And this is the thing the ego does not want you to know. You have unlimited power. You are the most powerful force that has ever existed. And when as oneness, you are the only thing that's ever existed. The ego doesn't exist. The ego is just fighting for its life by trying to keep us constantly distracted with judgments and evaluations about the outcomes of states of affairs in the external world, which doesn't even exist to begin with. The dualistic framework is just a temporary illusion. It's like scaffolding that we use to that the ego erected to try to sustain itself. But eventually, once from the context of eternity, where time and space don't even exist, and there's just that one present moment that has always existed and that could ever be. I mean, from that perspective, from that moment, it's like we're just in that state of oneness, and we're in that state of love. All right. Hey, oh my God, we got Grace Yoga here. Hello, so much grace. Wow. All right, a big shout out. Did my auto shout out work? Yeah, okay. Big shout out for Grace Yoga. She is incredible. She is one of the nicest, kindest, loving, most compassionate people on Twitch in the fitness and health community. She is the holistic guru. She's an incredible yoga instructor. I highly recommend her streams. Go check her out. Drop her a follow. Check out her streams. The cool thing is you will definitely benefit from it. I'm giving you my guarantee that if you go there and you do the work, and she does breath work, she does incredible meditations, and she does yoga, right? So like in her breath work, she does opposite nostril breathing and stuff like that, and it's incredible. It opens everything up. You can get more oxygen to your brain. You feel more balanced, and you just your overall peace and well-being is better when you do that. And then her meditations are incredible. Like I love just like lying down during the yoga nidra meditation, and you're just like laying there, and then she's like saying, okay, now feel heavier, and you literally feel like you're sinking through the floor. Like, I'm like thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna have to go downstairs now and talk to my goddamn downstairs neighbor about how I just fell through my floor into their condo. Like, that's not gonna be a pleasant conversation, right? Then we're gonna have to get the goddamn floor repaired. It's gonna be a big thing. That's gonna be on me, right? Because I'm the one that caused the issue. And then she's like, well, okay, now just imagine yourself floating upward and feeling light, right? And it's like, I feel like I'm going through my roof now. It's like, so now my roof's gonna be fucked up, right? But in all seriousness, no, it's incredible, right? Her meditations are incredible. She's a pro. Definitely check her out. Okay, let's go back to. I missed a ton of stuff in chat. I am so sorry. I have been talking a million miles an hour. All right, where are we at here? All right. Let's see. All right, where are we at here? Okay. Tons and tons of heart emotes from Swiss Star, the fire hearts. I love it. Grace, so you asked okay, first of all, Swiss redeemed poetry time. We're going to get to that in 1 second. 1 second, I promise. Just hang out there for right now. This is so cool. And this is so beautiful that I'm seeing this right now because Grace actually just asked the exact question that my poem actually relates to. This is beautiful. It's like that's the thing. When you're speaking the truth, like when your whole life is devoted to truth and you're not holding anything back and you're free and you don't give a fuck about the opinions and judgments of others, it's like all of a sudden you're this powerful force. All of a sudden you're just out there in the universe and you're emitting love and light and you're shining everywhere, and people are like, who is this dude? Like who is this guy who's like not afraid to speak his mind, who's not afraid of other people's judgments, who devotes his life to truth, right? Who is this person, right? So Grace, you say, is the ego similar to a parasite? Well, that's first of all, that question is on point. Perfectly on point. That is in my metaphysics. And by the way, and I'll always preface what I'm going to say, within my metaphysics, right? Or sometimes I don't, just kind of always assume that it's there, right? Because I don't want to be one of those those overzealous crusaders who's running around killing people because they're not their religion or whatever. It's like that's like nonsense, right? That's craziness, right? When people are doing that, it's like no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear someone in their face like basically telling them what they have to believe. So I'm just expressing my metaphysics, right? This is just how I view reality. And under my viewpoint of reality, we just have monism. We just have a state of oneness. And then our perceptual lenses are clouded such that we see through the ego's lens, right? We see dualism. We see two-ness, right? And the ego is inextricably bound to that two-ness, to dualism, right? So we can listen to either the ego or we can listen to the unconditional love within us. All right, these are our choices, right? It's simple as that, right? We have basically two voices to listen to, two choices to make in that regard, right? If we listen to the ego, then what we're going to think is that we're all a bunch of separate bodies, and that we live in a reality in which everything decays, and every single person we know and love in our whole existence is just going to one day be dead, and we're never going to see them again, and that life is just a lesson in just ego destruction, right? And that's so that would be the ego. That'd be listening to the ego. The ego is a force for division, and it's literally gained a consciousness of its own. It's a thought system of its own, based on survival, just like natural evolution, right? Think about evolution, right? Over the course of evolutionary history, it's like whatever genes, create protein products that, create traits that allow us to actually, procreate more and live to a longer lifespan, get passed on to their offspring. The same is true for the ego, right? The ego has basically tried out a bunch of different things, and it's like, oh, well, when I introduce fear and insecurities into the human psyche, all of a sudden the human psyche becomes more divided, and then the ego grows in strength. So then it tries other ego tactics to it wants you to feel jealous, it wants you to feel spiteful and angry at other people, it wants you to do all these things. So is the ego similar to a parasite? I would say hell yeah, the ego is a parasite, except with a few qualifications. Like, for one, the ego is just basically the opposite of our own true voice. It's just basically doing like the opposite of what pure love would have us do, right? Pure love wants us to just connect with everyone else and be one with everyone else, and that's our natural state, the state of monism. But the ego wants us to divide. So like anything that unifies is of our pure love and our pure essence, and anything that divides is of the ego. The ego is more of a distractory device, I kind of view it, because it's not actually getting anything out of us at the end of the day. All it's doing is just maintaining its own, superficial temporal existence within this temporal realm. It's not going to be here to stay. It's not going to be around forever. It's just hanging out there for a while. So that's how I answer that. Okay, poetry time. I'm Agni James. If those of you don't know me, I'm also a poet. And I'm going to bring up a poem I read. And this is so perfect, it relates exactly to Grace's question. This is the perfect time to read this, actually. All right. And this sums up exactly how I feel. This sums up exactly how I feel about reality and about where we're currently at in the world, where humanity, the human zeitgeist, the zeitgeist of our times is, where our collective unconscious currently is, and where our mind is, where we are. Okay, it's called State of the Ego Address. Brother hating brother. Child told to disown his mother. Political views creating an us versus them mentality. People losing sight of totality. Oneness thinking in short supply. Dualistic ideology heard in every cry. But there's no difference between you and I. And I ain't going goodbye. Now, I may articulate in an abrasive fashion, shock the listener away from rash action, as I am not part of any faction, and I don't believe in addition by subtraction. I won't give up on any brother, and I won't instruct them to spill the blood of the other. Yet I don't hide under the cover of socially created notions of one against another. State of the Ego Address. That's one of the few poems that I actually wrote recently. I wrote that one this year. I hope you all got something out of that and enjoyed it. Grace, yeah, okay, you liked it, awesome. I'm a poet, and I've only written two poems or two or three poems in the last year, or year and a half. Prior to that, I was writing poems like crazy for a while. But yeah, it's all about oneness. It's all about bringing people together, and yet our whole society, our whole is based on trying to separate us, and it's just such an incorrect way to live, basically. And I know maybe I sound dogmatic when I say that, right? But I'm sorry. I think it's wrong that, when we go and we separate and we divide and rip people apart from one another, because it fosters further animosity and hate. And that's not what we need. It's not what the world needs. And it's always been the same cycle, right? Thousands of years ago, maybe 10,000s of years ago, some person in some village or tribe or something realized that they could control the villagers. They could control others through fear. And so they bought into the ego's framework, and they kind of bought into that divisive mindset, and then they were able to become the leader and rule people and say, oh, if you better listen to me, because if you don't listen to me, guess what's going to happen? We're not going to have any crops grow this year, or we're not going to have we're going to have a drought. We're going to have all sorts of issues. There's going to be a plague, or whatever, right? So they basically got the village to buy into their fear-based belief system, and once that happened, they became the powerful leaders of the village, right? Because they were the ones that supposedly knew what was going on, right? So it's basically, since then, it's just been overbearing marketing campaigns by politicians and by people that want to sell you a product, right? At the end of the day, think about all the overbearing marketers out there, right? It's like you log onto the internet, it's like there's fucking ads everywhere. I have an ad blocker, and I'm still getting ads. I don't even know how this is possible, right? Ads everywhere, and it's like, buy this product, buy that product, buy this. This will make you happy. This will make you happy. This will make you happy. Here's a problem that you didn't even know you had. Here, let's go down into your psyche and try to find whatever insecurity you have, and let's really blow it up and say people aren't going to like you because you're like this, because you're like X, right? But guess what? If you buy our product now for a limited time offer, then guess what? We'll solve that problem for you. You won't need to have, people will like you again, right? People will like you again. Just buy our product, right? It's like, how crazy? How could you sleep at night if that was your career? Literally, to go into people's psyches and find what they fear and what they're most afraid of, and then try to play a marketing scheme off that, just so you can make more money at the end of the day. And then what are you going to do with all that money, right? At the end of the day, there's been tons of studies that have shown the people that make just a basic enough money to live off of, just an average amount of money, right, are the same level of happiness as people who make billions. It doesn't even fucking matter. So you're just you're literally hurting other people, and you're destroying other people's lives by changing their perception of what they think they need to be happy, in order to make tons of pieces of paper, which are actually imaginary. Money's imaginary to begin with. It's just a social construction, right? That was a lot. That was a lot. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. Uh, yeah, I think I should drink some water. Maybe everyone there, maybe everyone out there should drink a little bit of water too. I mean, and that's and you know what, the humor of it, it definitely makes life more bearable, right? It makes it more tolerable. Grace, you're right. Yeah, that was a lot, right? But you love listening to it. You love you're here. You know why you love listening to it, Grace? Because, well, I mean, look at me. Listen to me. Oh, here's why. Here's why you love something. As if I know. It's like, what the fuck am I talking about, right? I can surmise, right? I can surmise why you might like listening to it, because you're an authentic, truthful human being who cares about improving yourself, right? And people who are typically authentic and truthful and caring and are concerned about improving themselves on every level. I'm not talking about just physical, but I'm talking about emotional, mental, spiritual, all the levels, right? If you're seriously dedicated to evolving yourself, right? The whole name of this channel, to improving yourself, right? Then you're going to be more receptive to thoughts that new thoughts that come in that could benefit you, right? Because you're not going to want to block things out. There's plenty of people that go around and spend their whole lives just blocking things out, and you'll run into these people, right? It's like you cannot get a single word through to them, right? Ever, because they are so rigid in their foundational beliefs and in the ways that they think, that nothing that you say will ever get through that defensive barrier. There's like an ego shield that just blocks everything, every new idea that's possibly could help that person from coming into their belief system. And that's crazy, right? And the reason though, but there's a good reason why people do this, right? Because change is scary, right? You've heard that before. Everyone's probably heard that before. Change is scary, and it's true, especially the deeper the change, right? The more foundational that the change exists, that's going to be some of the most scariest changes to have, right? Like if you had to, if someone came in and was like, hey, I just found a hole in one of your foundational beliefs, right? I just found a reason why it doesn't make any sense for you to believe this, and it's a pretty good reason. It's actually here. Here's what it is, and then they tell you, and you're like, holy shit, I'm not justified in actually holding this foundational belief. But the problem is, the second then you might think, okay, well then I'll remove that. I'll just remove that one belief, right? I'll remove that one belief from my foundation. That belief now is gone. It's out of my head. It's gone. It's fine, right? But all of our beliefs are like a tree, right? So the foundational beliefs are like the roots of the tree. They're at the base, right? And if you yank out one root, if you change one foundational belief and supplant it with a different one, all of a sudden it's going to have an effect on all on the whole tree, all the branches going up the tree, right? Because the branches are just literally just more and more thoughts that are stemming from your foundational belief set. Because if you really think about what a belief set is, you take your foundational beliefs and then you take the inferences from which those foundational beliefs lead to the next logical conclusion, and then you take the inferences from those logical conclusions, and that coupled with your experience, the way you experience the world and the experiences you've had in the world, form your belief set, right? So that's the totality of your belief set, right? So when you yank out a foundational belief, the whole structure is going to crumble. And that's scary as fuck. That's so goddamn scary, right? To have your whole structure, all of the beliefs from which you hold and live by on a daily basis are just like getting shaken and messed up, to a certain degree, because you've just yanked out one of the core beliefs. I mean, that's super scary, and there's not that many people that are actually willing to do that. I mean, think about political debates, right? How often does someone like say something to someone in a political debate, and they're like, the other side's just like, you're right. I'm going to completely change political parties. That never fucking happens, right? Or almost never happens, right? Or same thing with like abortion, right? That's a good paradigmatic example of like something that's like that, right? I mean, how often do you hear someone go up to someone and be like, hey, you know what? I think abortion's wrong and you should never get an abortion, right? And the other person's like, you know what? Now that you said that, you're right. Yeah, I'm not going to get an abortion now. It's like I would never get. I'm going to change my viewpoint on that, right? It just doesn't happen, right? It doesn't happen, right? Yeah, Grace. Yeah, changing political parties, right? It's crazy, right? You said, and this is why the truth is found. Exactly why the truth is found in meditation. That is perfect. Because in meditation we go within to the place of truth. We're going into the state of oneness within. And when you're in a state of oneness, when you're in a state of monism, all that dualistic ego nonsense, all those ego dynamics fade away. They disappear because you realize you're in truth, and that all those thoughts were just ego nonsense. It was like a magician's sleight of hand, basically, like making something appear where it's not, right? And you come to realize that within your truth. So that's it. All right, I'm missing stuff in chat. What's going on here? Imbalanced. You said, yeah, second that. Grace Yoga is a pro. She is absolutely a pro. That's what I call her. And you know what? I think she's like the only streamer out there that I even just call a pro. But it suits her so well. It just suits her so well. And balanced. And now to stuff your face with food, man. I hope you're digging the food. I hope whatever food you're eating is good. If come to Chicago sometime, we got the best food in the country. We also got the highest murder rate in the country though too. So I guess it kind of balances out, right? Highest murder rate but best food. So you do the math. In balance, you say Bruno says hello, and everyone else in the chat. Awesome. Well, tell Bruno we say hello. All right. Grace, you said thanks for your thoughts on that. Absolutely. I'm always willing to share whatever I got on my mind because that's the whole point of the Agni James mission, basically, is to just, promote open and honest communication no matter what, because that's so important. It's so important that we talk and we communicate truthfully because until we communicate truthfully with others, and well, first of all, we have to first understand our own truth, right? And like what's going on with like our own sense of being and we have to feel that love within ourselves. And once we feel that love within ourselves, then we can share that love with others, right? And so we need to be truthful with other people in order to have a good reciprocal positive relationship. All right, where are we at here? One of your JT Farms, you say one of my best to date. Oh, you really like the poem? I think you're talking about the poem. Yeah, State of the Ego address. That was a good one, right? It sums up where we are. Swiss, you say almost see no ads since years. You have like 10 ad blockers. That's intense, man. But like, I don't know, man. I can't handle the redundancy, but at the same time, that's a good move. The advertisements are just killing. They just crush the human psyche. Hey, Relect is here. Totally awesome. How are you? I hope you're doing well, friend. I hope you're having a good day. I hope life is giving you abundance. I hope things are going well with you. You say usually challenging people's pillars of belief results in name calling as an automatic defense mechanism. Absolutely. On point right there. Really, you could not have expressed that any better. That is perfect. I agree 100 point. And then, yeah, I'm saying that 100%, and then everyone's like, yep, we all agree. Grace, you have best food, highest. It's true though, right? Chicago, right? I mean, we're just kind of like a messed up place, we just care so much about our food, but then at the same time, it's like, dude, we're letting people get killed left and right. What the fuck is wrong with my city? My city's got to get its shit together. I see. Real you said you're in Sydney. Oh, you're in Sydney, Australia. Dude, awesome, man. Awesome. Well, one of my ex-girlfriends actually is a professional harpist, and she got to play in the Sydney Opera House twice. How awesome is that? To travel the world and just play in these like the best, musical venues in the history that the history of man has ever come by. Like how cool is that, man? I was always jealous that she's got to actually perform there, in the Sydney Opera House. LOL, yes, LOL, in state of being well, if you'd like to elaborate on that. Yeah, the defense mechanism thing, right? I mean, people, yeah, if you come at them and try to convince someone of like changing their beliefs, it's never really the right way of doing it, right? If you see someone, but here's the thing though, I'm not saying take a totally laissez-faire approach. If you see someone that's like, should I kill myself or should I not kill myself? I mean, of course, you're going to be like, let's talk about this, let's actually think about this. And by the way, those of you who are familiar with Albert Camus, that was like the most foundational question that he posed. Like, how crazy of a question that he was a French existentialist from like, mid 1900s, right? And he basically said the only philosophical question that has or has ever had any significance is whether one should kill themselves. How fucking crazy is that of a concept, right? And so he's like, well, I'm a philosopher. Let me explore this. Let's explore this. Let's look at the arguments for why one should kill himself, and then look at the arguments for why one should not kill themselves. Like, dude, this philosopher is like talk about a polemical subject matter, man. Talk about like abrasive stuff. That's a wild notion to think about and entertain. He came to the conclusion that, thank God, basically, that we should not kill ourselves. And he has a lot of good cogent arguments supporting his reasoning. But he still brought up the question and said and talked about how significant it was and said, it's the most significant question, right? And so if you ever want to read about it, go check out some Camus. He's written a ton of amazing stuff. I own the Rebel over there, and I think I own some of his papers. somewhere around. But that's the only book that I currently own. He's got some great stuff out there. All right, where are we at? Really, always been a challenging question for you. How are you? That is all I can say is I've been worse, and I can only hope to get better. Yeah, and it's interesting, right? It's like when you're walking down the street and someone's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" It's like, I mean, what do we typically say? We say like, "Oh, fine," or "Good, you," right? We typically say something like that, right? So it's very rare that someone's like, "Well, actually, today I just found out, that my cousin died, and I'm having this really rough day," right? We don't typically say those things because that's just not part of the quote unquote normal code of social interaction or the societal mores, right? It's just typically not done. I had a philosophy professor in grad school. I mean, this guy was a brilliant Yale professor, right? And it's funny, the thing that impressed me the most, the thing that he said that was the most profound throughout the entire time I've known the guy, was when I was walking down the hall and I was passing him one day. I'm like, "Hey Jeff, how are you doing? How are you?" Right? And you know what he did? He just stopped, and he's like, and he literally thought about it for about 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Imagine that. You're just walking down the hallway, you ask someone how they're doing, and they just fucking stop dead in their tracks for 20 seconds and really are pondering how they're doing, how they're feeling that day, right? And then he gave me the most authentic, honest, open answer that I could ever hope to get from anyone. And it was so powerful. It's like, what an amazing human being. I mean, this is like my professor too. It's not like just some like 5-year-old kid. This is like a Yale analytic philosophy professor. This guy is a fucking brilliant. I mean, he's well respected in his field. He's just a brilliant dude. And I ask him how he's doing, and that's like one of the most deepest things that he's been thinking about throughout the course of the day. And he's articulating that to me in the most open, honest way. Like, so I've always respected that guy for that. How crazy is that? Throughout all the philosophical discourse I had, with the guy, that was the thing that really impressed me the most from him. All right, let's get back to chat. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, back to what you were saying, Relect. When always been a challenging question for you. When someone asks you how are you doing on that, right? How are you doing? Yeah, I was talking earlier in chat about how, like, I'm personally having a rough fucking day, like a really rough day. I am at, like, I may not appear that way because that's not the role that I'm currently here to that I'm currently fulfilling. I like to come out here high intensity and let everything out, and emote and be like a free, authentic, truthful human being, right? I'm not gonna, and that's just how I naturally am, right? So but how do I feel? I feel like garbage because I am, sad as fuck about my friend who's, I went and visited a friend who's basically, who had a tumor in her brain and had it removed, and now she's permanently paralyzed for the rest of her fucking life. It's like the saddest fucking thing. This is someone who is young and full of strength and like ready to live a good life. Office Nike, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the follow. Much appreciated. I hope you're doing well today. But yeah, my friend had this happen. It's like, what garbage, what absolute garbage, to happen to someone. So unlucky, she wasn't like, an unhealthy person. She was a healthy person who just had, a genetic, defect that caused a brain tumor, maybe something from the environment. Who knows what causes brain tumors? But now she's going to be in a bed the rest of her existence. Terrible, right? But yeah, so yeah, when people ask how we're doing, that's how I'm doing today, right? So I'm going to be open and honest with you. I'm going to tell you I am depressed as fuck. I feel super sad, and I'm having a really really rough day, right? I mean, I'm just going through the motions. It's one of and not just that. Like pretty much most of the external things that could go wrong today have gone wrong, and it got to a point where it literally became comical. It's like, okay, what's the next thing that's gonna like happen, and like, it's, and even like little things, like, you go to grab the toothbrush from the toothbrush holder, and like, the toothbrush holder falls off, and then falls over. Then you go to like pick it up and like you knock it again and it like falls on the floor and breaks. And then you're going and like picking up the pieces and you like step on one of them. And then you're like, ow, this is like in my foot, and you're like pulling out the pieces. And then you're throwing them in the garbage bag, and like one of the pieces of the goddamn toothbrush container like fucking rips the side of the garbage bag as you're like moving it across, and it like shreds open like on the floor. Then you're like cleaning up the floor, and like it's like, and then like it was like a comedy of fucking errors. At one point I'm literally just like looking at this pile of trash, and I'm like, fuck you, universe. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Is every little thing gonna go wrong right now? Like it's like a fucking joke. It was a joke how like one thing after the next just kept going wrong, but that's how life is sometimes within this illusory dualistic framework, right? And that's where you get the notion of the absurd. Camus was one of the earliest ones to talk about the absurd, right? And that was a big thing, right? If any of you, how many of you are familiar with Myth of Sisyphus, right? Myth of Sisyphus is basically, an example of like the human condition, and the absurd, all wrapped into one, right? You got this guy Sisyphus who's basically condemned to roll this boulder up a mountain every fucking day for the rest of eternity. He rolls his boulder up a mountain, and when the boulder gets to the very top, right, it just fucking rolls down the other side. And then he goes down, spends the rest of the night going down, gets that boulder and rolls it back up, the next day, and he gets to the top and it rolls down the other side. And this is literally what he does for all of eternity, right? It's a good example of the absurd. And the Greek gods basically did this as a punishment on him because of this backstory. I don't need to get into the backstory. It's not really important. The main thing is you get the gist of the absurdity of it. So it's like human nature. A lot of people will argue. A lot of the French existentialists would have definitely argued that, and people still argue that human nature is absurd. That the contradictions and the chaos within the human existence, within the human condition, is all based on absurdity and contradiction and whatnot. And that's what a lot of the continental philosophers will say as well. I choose not to believe that. I choose that is the case, but only within the dualistic framework paradigm, right? If you step away from dualism, if you go within, like Grace Yoga mentioned earlier, into that state of love and oneness through meditation, if you use meditation to go within and you find that place of perfect love and oneness, then you realize the universal farce, and you don't get stuck in it. You don't get stuck in that perceptual way of thinking about things. You don't get stuck in that dualistic paradigm with ego dynamics and battles with all your fellow human beings. All right, we got to get back to chat. I've been talking like a nonstop guy, and I'm a little sick of hearing my voice. Where are we at here? JT Farms. You're doing good. Been a really easier day. Okay, you're having an easier day today. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Happier to hear that. Office Nike, you say true. All right, cool. Liquid Stealth. Good afternoon. Evolve yourself. Hey, Chad, how's everyone doing? Hey, good to see you, Liquid Stealth. How are you doing? How is life with you? I hope you're doing well. Let's give a big shout out to Liquid Stealth. Liquid Stealth. He's a fitness and health streamer here on Twitch. Did my shout out go out? I'm having these shout out issues. I'm having major shout out issues these days. It's really bothering me, man. Really bothering me. We're gonna give it one more shot. I don't know what the deal is with the shout outs. Let's try it one more time. Bam. Yeah, there we go. Maybe I set up my automatic shout out wrong. Liquid Stealth _1. Liquid Stealth. I don't know. We're gonna have to deal with this at some point. At some point in my existence, I will be able to deal with this. Oh man! At some point, we're gonna get to this. At some point, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Because those of you who are streamers on Twitch, you know what I'm talking about. Like the weirdest glitch. Twitch is glitch, right? The weirdest glitches happen on Twitch. It's crazy. Like, and I use a hodgepodge of like OBS Studios, Streamlabs, Stream Elements. I just mix all this shit together. I've like Frankenstein my system. So it's like I never know what the fuck's going on. I'm just happy if my stream doesn't shut off halfway through, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, definitely check out Liquid Stealth, a great streamer here in the fitness and health community on Twitch. totally wonderful human beings. Check them out. All right. Office Nike, you say, have you listened to the David Cho story? No, I have not. I don't know anything about the David Cho story actually. Tell me about it. What is the David Cho story? Uh, I'm kind of excited. And again, by the way, if anyone else has anything they'd like to share, let's hear it, right? Because this is the place. This is the place to share your most innermost things, right? Innermost feelings and whatnot. Because open and honest communication is what this is all about. And I think let's get to the meditation pretty soon too. By the way, I've been talking a lot today. Meditation is going to be good too. Let's just see if we hear about this David Cho. Okay, perfect. Yeah, let's bring it up. Let me check it out. So he's an American artist, musician, and former journalist. He has an ongoing relationship. His figurative paintings, which explore themes of desire, degradation, and exaltation, are characterized by a raw, frenetic method that he termed dirty style. Interesting. California College of the Arts. He's a painter for the most part. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check this dude out. All right, I'll check him out later. Awesome. Thank you for the recommendation. Thank you. I'm always looking for a new painter or artist to check out. Or a new musician, right? Like music and arts, music and the arts are have had such a profound influence on me, like in my life. It's crazy. Here's a funny story, by the way. Here's a really funny story, right? So I was always under the impression that basically, everyone likes music, right? Because everyone likes music, right? I mean, I don't know. That's just something I assumed was the case. When I used to teach special ed, and one of the OTs, one of the occupational therapists at my job, we're just chatting one day, we're talking, and she's like, yeah, she had to commute from Chicago out to where we worked at the time, and she was like, yeah, I haven't, my commute's like an hour, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. Mine's like only half an hour, right? And she's like, I'm like, well, what do you listen to on the, what music do you listen to on the drive down to work every day? And she's like, I don't listen to any music. And I'm like, oh, really? Why not? And she's like, because I don't like music. She was dead serious. I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean? What types of music don't you like? And she's like, no, I mean, I don't like any music. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, surely there has had to have been one song that you've heard in your entire existence that you liked, that you enjoyed, that at least maybe when you're younger, when you're a kid or something. She's like, no. She's like, I've never liked a single song that I've heard in my entire life. How fucking crazy is that? Has anyone in this chat ever met someone like that who does not like music at all, who has never appreciated a single song that they've ever heard? I couldn't find. You know what? She's like the most normal, rational, reasonable human being you'd come across. She's an occupational therapist, a totally just normal human being, and she just doesn't like any music ever. That right there was one of the things that blew my mind the most in my entire life. Grace, I've never met anyone either. Swiss, I've never met anyone like that. It's so crazy, right? And she's not one to joke around either. She's not like a jokester. She's not a prankster. She's like a dead set, very serious person. She said she listens to podcasts, coming to and from work, and that she's never liked any music ever in her entire life. That blew my mind because music has been so profound in my life. I'm huge into heavy metal, especially Norwegian avant-garde metal. That's like my favorite music scene, right? And stuff up in Scandinavian regions and all that area, right? You guys, I don't know if those of you who are out there, you guys can produce, and you women can produce some of the best music out there. I don't know why all the best metal comes from that area, but anyways, it does. But yeah, she didn't like any music. It blew my mind. Completely blew my mind. Liquid Stealth, you say thanks for the shout out. Of course, man. Of course. I'm always here to shout out when I can. I just don't know why my automatic shout outs haven't been going through as much as they should. All right. Okay, so that's all pretty good. All fine and dandy. Is there anything else to discuss, or should we go on with the meditation? We always got work to do with this meditation, but it's good work, and it's the work. It is the fun work because you're going within. You're going within to the source of truth, right? All right. Well, so everything was really high intensity and high energy, and now we're going to slow things down. And do some meditation. Find a nice, comfortable, seated position. You can sit on the floor in a lotus pose. You can sit cross-legged, or you can sit in a chair. The main thing is to find a seated position that works well for you. And then close your eyes and take a few deep breaths on your own. And I have a Buddhist chant that I play that has a chime that goes off every 2 seconds. And you can use that chime to help regulate your breath count. Take a few more slow, deep breaths on your own while maintaining good posture. Inhale through your nose, gently raising your belly. Exhale through your mouth, gently lowering your belly. Breathe in through your nose, gently raising your abdomen. Breathe out through your mouth, gently lowering your abdomen. Be mindful of your breath. Inhale, gently raising your belly. Exhale, gently lowering your belly. Breathe in, gently raising your abdomen. Breathe out, gently lowering your abdomen. Stay focused on your breath count. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. The breath calms the body, and the body calms the mind. Keep your awareness on your breath. Inhale through your nose, gently raising your belly. And exhale through your mouth, gently lowering your belly. Breathe in through your nose, gently raising your abdomen. Breathe out through your mouth, gently lowering your abdomen. Keep your attention on your breath. Visualize yourself sitting on a mountaintop, watching the clouds move beneath you. Two clouds merge into one, and one cloud divides into two. Those clouds are like your thoughts. When thoughts arise in your mind, visualize them as clouds moving through the sky and disappearing over the horizon. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that is of no benefit. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all that does not serve you well. The breath calms the body, and the body calms the mind. Be mindful of your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stay focused on your breath count. When thoughts arise in your mind, visualize them as clouds, moving through the sky and disappearing over the horizon. And return your focus to your breath count. Inhale, gently raising your belly. Exhale, gently lowering your belly. Breathe in, gently raising your abdomen. Breathe out, gently lowering your abdomen. Your essence is love. The manifestation of love is light. Your purpose is to shine your light on others. and awaken the inner light within them. And they will shine their light on all whom they encounter. Until the whole world is lit once again. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. The breath calms the body, and the body calms the mind. Stay focused on your breath. When thoughts arise in your mind, visualize them as clouds moving through the sky and disappearing over the horizon. And then return your attention to your breath count. On your next inhale, delve down deep beneath the level of consciousness. Travel to the region of your heart chakra. Explore the love and light that radiates from that location. Feel the warmth that resides there. That place contains your eternal essence. That place is your eternal home. For your essence is love. And love is eternal. Inhale, gently raising your belly. Exhale, gently lowering your belly. Breathe in, gently raising your abdomen. Breathe out, gently lowering your abdomen. Your essence is love. The manifestation of love is light. Your purpose is to shine your light on others. And awaken the inner light within them. And they will shine their light on all whom they encounter. Until the whole world is glowing radiantly once again. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that is of no benefit. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all that obscures your third eye sight. The ego is hell-bent on dividing us. The ego is hell-bent on distracting us from our truth. The ego feeds into all insecurity and fear to try to bait us. When we choose to listen to our place of perfect love, we are not affected by the ego. And our eternal essence is love. The ego would keep us stuck in time. The ego would keep us in a place of regret. The ego would tell us that we don't have enough. The ego would try to convince us that we are not perfect. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that is of no benefit. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all ego that obscures our third eye sight. Your essence is love. The ego would have us try to think that we're not love. But the ego is wrong. Our foundational nature is below the level of conscious awareness. It exists within our heart chakra. And in that region, we realize our true essence. Our essence being eternal love. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that does not serve you well. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all ego that obscures your third eye sight. On your next inhale, go down deep beneath the level of consciousness once again. Go to the place where no thoughts can enter. Allow yourself to feel that perfect oneness, love and light. Allow yourself to identify with that perfect love. That place is your eternal home. You've never left that place of oneness. And though the ego mind would have us believe that we live in duality, duality is just a sleight of hand. Existing temporarily and then disappearing into the nothingness from which it came. For from the context of eternity, you are divine. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that does not serve you well. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all ego that obscures your third eyesight. Return to your heart chakra, exploring the love that emanates from that region. And identify with that love. Choose not to hear the ego's voice. Choose only to hear your own voice. Your own voice being that of love. When you come from a place of perfect love, you connect with others at that place of perfect love. And you can bypass all ego dynamics that can be pernicious to relationships. For the ego wants to keep us separated and isolated, when in reality, we have always been whole. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that is of no benefit. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all ego that obscures your third eyesight. Your essence is love. The manifestation of love is light. Your purpose is to shine your light on others. And awaken the inner light within them. And they will shine their light on all whom they encounter. until all of humanity is glowing radiantly once again. And this illusory dualistic framework will crumble, and space-time will collapse, and we'll return to a state of oneness once again. When thoughts arise in your mind, release them and return your focus to the region of your heart chakra. Feel the love emanating from that region. Feel the warmth that love gives off. Feel the vibrating and pulsating of that love. Feel the oneness that exists there. Go deeper still within that place of oneness. And travel even deeper. And deeper still into that love. And find the center point of that love. The place from which love springs eternal. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that is of no benefit. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all that does not serve you well. Travel back to that center point. Visualize the contours of that point. Think about the features that that point possesses. and feel the love flowing from that point throughout your whole being. And when you're ready, go on through the center point. On the other side, you come to find yourself. You come to remember who you are. You come to remember how you came to be. You come to remember what you are. You come to remember that your foundational essence is eternal love. You come to remember your divinity. You come to remember that you exist beyond space-time. You come to remember your own perfection. In the center point, no ego can enter. For what is false crumbles when put in what is truth. And you remember that you are eternal. And that you are one with all of creation. In that center point, you come to remember your destiny. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all that is of no benefit. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all that does not serve you well. Inhale. Exhale, releasing all ego that obscures your third eye sight. Breathe in. Breathe out, releasing all stress and tension from your body. Stay focused on your breath. When thoughts arise in your mind, do not judge them. Simply let them go and return to the center point. The center point is the source of all creation. And it exists within you eternally. And you emanate from that place of perfect love. And you identify with its oneness. From the center point, love and light flow through your body. Animating this earthly vessel. From the source of creation, you feel perfect peace. For you remember your eternal divinity. And when you go out into the world, you will shine your light on all whom you encounter. awakening the inner light within them. And the ego will crumble as we return to a state of perceptual monism once again. Inhale, taking the deepest breath of the day. Exhale, releasing all that does not serve you well. Breathe in, filling your vessel with perfect love and light. Breathe out, releasing all bodily tension, fear, and worry. Gently open your eyes and return to the present moment. Bring with you the peace and love from this meditation throughout the remainder of your day. Namaste. Thank you so much for being here with me and sharing the sacred space with me and with everyone else here. I am truly honored and humbled to be your meditation guide and to help teach the tools that have helped me so much in my life. I'm truly honored to help you remember your foundational essence. And I hope that you have a little more love and peace in your life after this meditation. Thank you so much for your cooperation. How was that? How was that meditation? Swiss, you said namaste, man. Namaste to you too. So good to see you around. It's so good to have you around. Swiss and I joke around. He says that he is Twitch, that he is the embodiment of Twitch, and sometimes I think so. Sometimes I think there might be some validity to that, right? I mean, he's everywhere in the fitness and health community, and he's just a wonderful human being. And Terra Time, it's actually funny. Terra Time, you came in right at the moment when I started the meditation. I was already committed, so I couldn't acknowledge you other than I gave you a little wave. But Terra Time is a phenomenal streamer here on Twitch. She's the emote queen. When she's here during non-meditation hours, she spams emotes like no one's business. I've never seen emotes go down the way she uses them. So she's pretty skilled in the art of emote spamming. But her main thing is that she's an incredible streamer in the fitness and health community, and she makes working out fun, which is a gift, because that's not something that's easy to do. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, it's going to be painful, it's going to be brutal, you know, we got to do this workout. But no, she makes it fun. So that's really a wonderful gift that she has, and I'm grateful to know her and to be a part of her world. A wonderful person. All right. So I hope you all found that beneficial. I hope you all feel just some more joy and love in your lives, because you know, we are love. We are our foundational core. Our essence is pure love, the purest love, and it's eternal. It can never be taken from us. It can never be taken from us. It's something that we always have. The only danger lies in us thinking that it's gone from us. We think that it's gone, and then it feels like it's gone, and our perception changes such that we perceive reality as if we had a lack. But we never did have lack, and we never will have lack, because we were created without lack. And one of the other attributes in which we were created with is immutability. So we can't change. We can't lose that perfect oneness that we have. Denmark Viking, hello. It's good to see you again. I remember you from a long time ago. I remember that name. I think you checked out one of my streams a while back. It's good to see you. How are you doing today? We just got done with the meditation, where we went down deep to the source of pure oneness within us. My metaphysics holds that consciousness is at a different level than the level of our foundation. Our foundational level resides in our heart chakra, in that place of perfect peace and oneness. And our conscious mind is our ego mind, with our enlarged prefrontal cortex, and that the ego mind wants to keep us distracted from the place of truth within us. You're going to school for massage therapy. Awesome. That is so cool. I used to date a massage therapist. I mean, by the way, you're probably high on the dating scene. Dating a massage therapist is like pretty amazing. It's pretty fucking amazing. Let me tell you that. So I'm sure you have no trouble ever getting a date. Yeah, that's a good profession to go into. People need massages. Everyone needs massages. It's so important to get your body relaxed and to get de-stressed, right? Everyone stores their tension in different areas. Personally, I tend to store my tension like in this area, like around my kind of like up here in my neck and shoulders, and then I also tend to store it in my jaw and a little bit behind my eyes. I store my tension there. But you hate dating. Let me guess. When you date someone, they probably want massages all the time. That could be a thing, right? That could be a thing. Or you just hate dating. Either way. It's all fine. Yeah. Yeah. So we were just talking about going into that place of oneness and love, yeah. So it's just we got to remember that. The whole world, the whole framework, the illusory dualistic framework in which we live is determined to bring us apart, to separate all of us, to rip us apart, to rip us to shreds. It wants us to see everyone else as the enemy, and then have us have temporary alliances with people who share common beliefs, and then everyone who doesn't share those beliefs is now no longer part of us. We disown them. They're our enemy. They're the other side, right? But there are no sides. And that's why the ego is so weak, because it has no truth behind what it tells us, right? There are no sides. There never were any sides. There's just oneness. And I'll say that again. There are no sides. There never were any sides. There's just perfect oneness. The perfect oneness that radiates from our hearts. And all of humanity has that perfect oneness within it. But sometimes we choose not to see it. We forget about it because we get distracted with ego concerns, with worldly affairs, with the outcomes of states of affairs that happen in the external world. But we don't need to be distracted with stuff. We don't need to buy into that, to get hooked like a fish. We don't need to get baited into that. We can choose to live freely and not to have those chains to things in the external world, such that we're going to be imprisoned and stuck and doing that. What's the external world? Very, very good question, Denmark Viking. Super good question. The external world is basically for my metaphysics, it's our perception of time and space. Basically, what we've done is we've taken, we have these five senses, right? And while we're in bodily form, we have five senses, right? So we take in a small subset of the totality of data that exists from the universe. We're finite beings here, so we can only take in a small subset of the data that exists. And we just have we have brains which have limited processing power, so we can only process that subset of data so much, and then we take that and we extrapolate, and we then create the reality that we see, right? And people see different realities based on what different beliefs they have in their foundational belief set. So I believe that the external world is similar to what Immanuel Kant argued for, during the Enlightenment. He was actually one of the last Enlightenment thinkers, and he made the distinction between the phenomenal realm, the phenomenal world, and the noumenal world. The phenomenal world is the world of sensory experience. So that's how the world is as it appears to us, right? And we can, just like our normal day-to-day world, right? And such that we can, go to work and, go to school and, have kids and get married and do all those things, right? That's the phenomenal world. It's just the world that we can understand through our senses. Science, right, deals with the objects of inquiry within the phenomenal world, within this dualistic framework that we inhabit, right? The noumenal realm is, according to Kant, is the world that exists if we saw things as they exist in themselves. So it's just basically like how things actually are. All right. Now he argued that we don't have access to things as they really are. We just have access to our perceptions of those things, our representations that we've made of those things. But I believe, and that you and a lot of other people in yoga and qigong and who are big into meditation also believe that you can access truth when you go within and when you explore the region within, and that's where that truth lies. So, getting back to your question, the external world is simply our projection of our beliefs, of what we hold, into this dualistic framework, and then it's populated, through that. And then we perceive the world a certain way. And then the internal world is actually the place of pure love and oneness that exists, and the only thing that's actually real because it's eternal. Space, time, all that. Eventually, that's gonna go away. But from a state of monism, that's always going to be here. It's always going to last. There's no change in love. Love is always going to be around because it's foundational. Whatever's foundational and eternal, by definition, if something's eternal, it's not going anywhere, right? You can't get rid of something that's eternal. There's no way to do that. Space-time's just a magician's sleight of hand. That's one way to put it, or an ego trick, right, to make us think that we're not in that state of perfect love and oneness. But in reality, we never left. We just perceptually envisioned ourselves as leaving. Okay, all right. With that being said, I think we're ready to wind down, right? I feel a lot more calm and peaceful than I did prior to the meditation. Oh, Swiss, you got something to say? If you're looking for someone to raid, Fawn on Mars. Yep, Fawn on Mars is out there. She's in real life in the U.S. and Ian Namaki, and he does morning walk in Japan. Have a wonderful rest of your day too, JT Farms. Love to you as well. You're such a wonderful, positive person, an exquisite poet, incredible poet, and you always come here and do the work, and it's just so nice to have you here. I don't know if I've ever rated Inomasaki in Masaki. That's kind of cool though. Morning walk in Japan. Something sounds pretty neat to that, right? Maybe let's give this person a raid, right? I think that'd be cool. Let's give them a lot of love. Let's give them a lot of love and light too. Let's see if I can pull them up here. Nomaski. Yeah. He's streaming in his stream is freezing right now. Oh, really? You gotta be kidding me, man. I wanted to raid this guy. Well, maybe his stream will. Let's see if there's anyone else. Maybe his stream will not. I don't want to mess with it. If his stream is freezing right now, then we'll have to do it some other time. But here's a musician. There's a musician we can raid. He was at a Buddhist temple. All right, that's just too cool. That's just too cool. We're raiding this guy. If he's literally chilling at a Buddhist temple, I don't care that his stream is a little choppy or a little buffering. Let's give him some love and light. We're gonna raid this dude now. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. I hope you have much abundance and peace. Namaste.